This is a response to Pyrrho. Hi there, Pyrrho. Sorry, this is a video made on the hoof. I've got to do the garden when I get home, so I just can't find the time to sit down in front of a webcam, so I'll have to do it while I'm walking the dogs. I really like this image you've got of the kind of land and the ocean thing going on there. Actually, when you started talking, I assumed that the metaphor you would be setting up is that we would be the land. You know what I mean? That psychology would be the land. That it kind of been, I don't know, produced by oceanographic forces, oceanic forces, and would be looking out into the ocean of knowledge, or into the ocean of the natural world, trying to make sense of it. But in actual fact, you didn't do that, did you? You reversed it, which is interesting. So that you're casting as the ocean, or psychology as the ocean, and philosophy and knowledge as the either as the detritus cast on the beach, or as the beach itself. You know what I mean? As I say, the oceanic forces throwing things together into land masses. Look at this here, by the way. I just wandered in these little woods. Look at this construction somebody's making here. I don't know what that's about. Anyway, yeah, I quite like that. I mean, it's always going to be difficult talking about this stuff, and the metaphors don't hold stable, do they? You know, elsewhere you talk about the view from the inside, kind of. You know what I mean? Like philosophy from the inside is an understanding of psychology, which I can kind of understand. But that kind of jars with the ocean land metaphor. That's all right. We'll just have to live with the slippage. So what was I saying? Yeah, just in terms of some of the things I'm thinking about there. Because some things we know about. To say everything is psychology, which I can relate to, but in a sense, once you've said that, you kind of have to move off it pretty quick, I think, don't you? You know, because the whole project, in a way, is trying to find the stable elements of the world, trying to find the land masses, trying to draw maps of these land masses, trying to draw charts of how the land masses relate to one another, these kinds of things. And we can only do that using processes inherited from material sciences, or something like it, at least, I would guess. And here I guess I'm reminded that those processes of material science kicked in before psychology kicked in. So we're kind of using processes which aren't necessarily fit for purpose. But either way, things like, comparing experience, which is what we do, isn't it? I mean, that's essentially all scientific inquiry is, comparing experience. You do a thing and I do the thing, and if we both come out with the same experience, then that thing is a stable element of the world. In a sense, it's just perception writ large and formalised. If I see the tree and you see the tree, then there is a tree. And we call that shared perception the real world. This weird entangled mind that we've got out there. Sorry, one of my dogs has just got lost. Guy, come on, Puck, this way. That's a bit of a digression. So yeah, we have this. I suppose I'm just reiterating myself, really. If we're saying that all this psychology, that's fine. It's a starting point. But to try to refine that and draw inferences about what you might call the real world, even if it's just a question of defining what we mean when we say the words real world. Do we mean, the entanglement of my perception with yours, or do we mean this stuff that shows up on instrumentation, in which case we need to have a conversation about instrumentation. Even if it's just that, it's kind of fine, but we have to move off it pretty quick. I suppose I'm just reminded about philosophy being love of knowledge, and knowledge itself being a term which is inevitably embodied. You know what I mean? The term knowledge is different from data and information, isn't it? There's quite a bit of work done on that, I think. Knowledge only becomes knowledge when it's owned or possessed by a cognizing being of some kind, internalized. And so to that regard, yeah, I would say there's always knowledge is always grounded in an experiencer, in an owner of that knowledge. And so when we're talking about philosophy, it's implicit that we're not talking about, it's not dataology, you know what I mean? It's not dataology or data, or I can't think what love of data would be, but it's not about dataology, it's not about infoology, it's philosophy, which is this, you know, we're implied, you know, we're always implicit in that. People are always implicit in that. Yeah, I suppose the only other thing about that, come on, pop this way. The only other thing about that is just, you know, if we're talking about philosophy, then we need to talk, I beg your pardon, if we're talking about psychology, then we need to talk about different bits of it, because obviously parts of psychology are just about the mechanisms of thought. You know, when William James came up with a term and when it's been used since, it's not been used as a perspective. It's been used as a domain of inquiry. You know what I mean? So you'd study the mechanisms of mind, pretty much in the same way or with the same approach as you would study the mechanisms of geology or the mechanisms of some natural force out there in the world. You know, the fact that it's an internal inquiry is kind of irrelevant, really. It's just you would use the tools of inquiry to study the mechanisms of mind. If you're saying that psychology is philosophy from the inside, then you're using those. Then it's about building that knowledge of the mechanisms of mind into your, I guess into your thinking, really. Yeah, I don't know if that makes any sense.